I'm Marjorie Lundgren. I am a UKRI Future Leaders Fellow and Senior Research Fellow at Lancaster University at the Lancaster Environment Center. My research focuses on photosynthetic diversity. Oh, I think because I grew up in a very rural area in America, and I had a big family, and I just spent a lot of time outside. And I've just always been interested in plants. It was never really a decision. It was just always there, always. It was always the answer. But I grew up on a farm in a rural area, so lots of plants. When I first got into this, I didn't know what C2 photosynthesis was. I didn't know that it existed. When I first started my PhD, I was looking at C3 and C4 plants, and specifically how they die differently because they get stressed and they die differently. And in doing so, I started looking into old literature, and I found some old papers that essentially, when you find these old papers and they say, oh, this is really interesting, someone should look into it, and then nobody looks into it. So I found this old paper from like the 1980s saying there are these really interesting populations of this grass from Central Africa. Someone should look into it. There's something weird going on there, essentially, these papers are saying. And so I happened to be reading about it as part of my PhD. And so I went to my supervisor and I said, I want to look into this. I want to know what's going on with these grasses. So I went to Africa and I collected the grasses and we started looking into them and we realized that there are C3, C4 intermediates. And it opened up this one species of grass, Alloteropsis simulata, as a brilliant system to study photosynthetic diversity. The most photosynthetically diverse species on the planet because it has one species with, C3 protoprens, intermediate C2, C4-like, and C4 in one species. And there's also hybridization. So it's an absolutely fascinating system. And the reason this all started looking into it was because of this old paper I happened to find. So my advice would be to look into old papers. I think there's such a remarkable and fascinating amount of photosynthetic diversity on this planet. And the sad thing is, in textbooks, it says you learn mostly about C3, but then sometimes in textbooks it'll be like, oh, C4, maybe Chem. But there's so much more than that. There's obviously C2, and I'm interested in that. But there's this, as Rowan talks about, there's this gradient of photosynthetic diversity, and it's relevant. It's relevant for evolution. It's relevant for ecology, and it's relevant for understanding what we can do with crops and feeding people. We can take that photosynthetic diversity that's naturally present and use it as inspiration to improve crops. So there's so much diversity out there, and we need to learn about it. And it's useful information. We just don't know it yet. We just need to study it. So. I would like to have characterized all the photosynthetic diversity on the planet. There's so much to characterize. And then maybe because I'm kind of getting older, maybe I won't get all of it, but I want to know what's known and what's still unknown, because there are interesting little weird species and weird lineages and weird environments where there's going to be very cool things happening. So I want to know exactly all the photosynthetic diversity that's out there. What do we know? Put it on a phylogeny, put it on the map, but then identify what else do we need to know? What should we be looking at? What's left? So I have questions for the next generation. Oh, don't stress. Don't stress so much. When I was younger, I was so anxious about everything, always. And I worked so hard. And that doesn't matter. I mean, I think, especially in academia, there's a sense that you need to always work and be serious and work, think all the time. But I think you'll be a better scientist, a better thinker, a more creative thinker, a better person if you rest and if you take time away and you do so much thinking when you're not thinking, So I would tell myself just to relax and stop trying so hard, because I don't think it got me ahead. I think it made me just really tired.